think I'm going to keep this on the draw. Obviously, we need to draw a land, ideally a Flagstones, or but I think we can keep this in the blind on the draw. So I've gone ahead and I have split the paths and the lightning bolts 2/2, and I'm getting immediately punished for it. Drawing Flagstones is pretty nice though. So we can path on turn 1. We could even path right now to not discard a hand size, but I think that's a bit loose. We can play Triumph this turn and then play Serum Visions and path next turn. And that way we're not having to path on turn 2. It's kind of close. I'm going to play the Flagstones and discard the Triumph. That way we have the option to play something off the Steam Vents next turn. We're going to get another Triumph anyway with the Flagstones. Our mana is going to be pretty good. Definitely a weird line there. Yeah, I mean, Lizard, this may be my favorite deck I've ever made too. I'm trying not to like oversaturate it and just play it every single day, but I'm still like really hyped about this one. And I like the changes we've made. I went ahead and cut the... Oh boy. So we can Wildfire our Flagstones, or we can Snapcaster try to block this Eidolon. I think I like that. We need to protect the Snapcaster with Force of Negation, and we need to get this Eidolon off the field, and if we Wildfire, just taking so much damage off of it. I am doing well, Rohan. Good morning to you. But sorry, I cut the basic mountain for a basic island, and I think that's the change I wanted to make, largely due to the fact that we added, two Valakut's Awakenings and a Shatter Skull Smashing, 3 of these red multi, MDFCs, spell lands, whatever. And I think that makes a lot of sense to not play the basic mountain and just play the second island instead. Okay, I think I'm gonna Wildfire their Sunbake Canyon here. The Sunbake Canyon, is almost a burn spell by itself, and we have the Lotus Field to sack this Flagstones. All right, we're at 10 life. Opponent has 3 cards in their hand. They may be out of basics too. They also, it's unclear if they're mono red or if they're Boros Burn. Probably Boros. Oh, Lavamancer is cool. We don't have any life gain in the deck, but the Madcap Experiments really do shine against burn. Also changed the basic lands for today. I was just kind of browsing, and these jumped out to me. I think they're Mirage, and I went ahead and matched them with a Mirage Plains. I think they look nice. Oh yeah, we forced Helix, of course, sorry. Still waking up. I haven't finished this second cup of coffee yet. Okay. I think we just have to Teferi and Plus and hope to find some action here. Obviously, I still feel pretty behind in a spot like this against Boros. Okay. So I guess in our instep, we Awakening away both cards to look for a 1-mana removal spell for the Lavamancer. Is it crazy to add a bounce land as the 5th Lotus Field? I really do think it's not good to do so, because bounce lands play so poorly with Lotus Field that I really don't think you want to play any. I could be wrong. Oh, but we're not dead. We're not dead. Oh boy, did I sure think we were going to be dead, though. Like, how are we not... how are we still playing? Just make a 2/2 shark here? No, I think it needs to be bigger. Let's go to instep. I'm playing in a top 8 soon. I expect a lot of control. What deck would you suggest? I guess I don't understand the question. What is a top 8 if you like still get to choose your... How are you playing in the top 8 if you get to choose your deck? Yeah, opponent could have just all white cards in hand. That's true. A Discord tournament. You're expecting a lot of control. Well, I guess what kind of control is a good question. It's like it's kind of hard to choose like which deck to beat the control deck. If like, is it 4 color? Is it Jeskai? Is it a combination of all of these things? Interesting. I might just cycle this other Teferi. Might even minus on the Swift Spear potentially.
What's up? It's me, your friend Aspiring Spike.
B Hood, thank you for your 4 months in a row. I do appreciate that. Yeah, let's just go ahead and play the second Teferi in plus. I don't think we can really afford to... Interesting. This is a new addition to the deck. I cut the third Valakut's Awakening for the smashing. Still unsure if it's correct, but I think I feel pretty good about it. Jeskai, Flag, Fire, 4-color Omnath, Miracle, Subtle Pile, Humans, Mono Red Prowess. It's an interesting puzzle. They found white mana. We can maybe snap Wildfire. Cool. I really like drawing another Snapcaster Mage. Thinking Goblins. Goblins seems like a good call. There's definitely seems to be a lot of angles to this tournament. A lot of ins, a lot of outs, you know. Am I going to counter draw? I think I'm going to counter draw. I know that this means we may let them untap with another white mana, but I don't think that we're going to be able to... Wildfire them and counter the Boros Charm. And do we get in with the Shark? It seems fine to get in with the Shark here. Yeah, there's two spoilers, right? There was the Boros Saga, which actually looks really good to me, and the we let this resolve. The Boros Saga and the Colorless Tribal Birthing Pod. And that card looks pretty good. Although, like, it's worse than Birthing Pod for sure, but, like, still, like, a pretty interesting card to be able to play with. Kind of interested in trying it out in specifically Goblins. Seems like that's, like, the most obvious place to play it. There may end up, like, it may end up generating a new archetype even. Opponent's letting me go to my draw step, which, like, definitely implies that they don't have another counterspell if they're doing that, right? So we have Snap Bolt, of course. We can cycle another Teferi. I think I might just, like, Shatter Skull smashing the Swift Spear and pass, though. For 3. Then we still have Snap Bolt up to... I guess I was probably supposed to tap the Lotus Field. We have Snap Bolt up to, like, just respond to any burn spell here. And then the pressure is on them to cast a spell. And so they're going to need to be able to cast 2 next turn, which is going to be tricky. Hopefully. Also in Zombies. Oh yeah, it actually does seem pretty interesting in Zombies too. It's a good game. Good game to start the day off with. Really, I feel like their decision to, like, let me untap and take a draw step and plus Teferi before they cast their burn spell wasn't wise. You know, we can kind of look at the changes a bit more. So I've split the bolts and the paths. I cut the 4th Serum Visions to be able to play the main deck Settle the Wreckage. I cut the 3rd Valakut's Awakening for a Shatter Skull smashing, and now we have, like, a lot more removal. than we did, and I also cut the
Shark Typhoon.
basic mountain for the second basic island. I think you need to play 3 basics for Wildfire. But with all of these red spell lands, I think it makes sense to play the second island instead. Termagurf sub, baby born. Awesome, awesome. Welcome back, my friend. Hope you're having a good day today. So against Burn, I think I'm interested in cutting these Tails Ends and Wildfires. Or at least most of them. Cut the Nexus, trim on Shark. I like at least the first settle. I don't know if I want the second copy. Especially when we have all these gusts. The Emperions, oh thank you. Would not be the first time I've done that. Let me actually just look at my sideboard guide. If you are interested in a sideboard guide for this deck, there is one up on the Discord available for subscribers. Anybody can join the Discord, but the sideboard guides are for only for subscribers as a thank you. This has me also trimming on Serum Visions. -3 Wildfire, -1 Nexus, -2 Shark, -3 Tails End. Obviously this is out of date. I'll try to update it soon. Huh. Probably have to send this one back, although Madcap is pretty important in the matchup. Keep this, put back the second to Blood Sun.
What's up? It's me, your friend Aspiring
Obviously,
Spike.
this hand isn't perfect, but we'll keep it. Timius, 8 months in a row. Welcome back. Hope you're having a good one today. Serum Visions on top. I'm just going to play my Triome tapped. Are you really your friend? Yeah, absolutely. Honestly, I know this isn't what you asked, but I kind of hate the word fan. I don't know. I just kind of prefer to think of you guys as just, we're just hanging out playing some Magic, you know? That's how I've always preferred to think about it. I think we need to main phase Path the Eidolon so we can also Serum Visions and guarantee that we hit our third land. Does not feel very good, but hopefully we can just buy enough time and resolve a Madcap. We can also put a land on top and draw it off of Goblin Guide, although this does not go to your hand off Goblin Guide, so I'll bottom. What he means is he's not my friend. I see. Fair enough. You don't have to be my friend. I'll just be yours. On top, there is Valakut Awakening anyways. Scrybug confirmed. So we can snap Path to deal with the guides next turn, but with 4 cards in their hand and us being at 8, not loving our chances. Suspended Rift Bolt and Lava Spike. We'll make him show us the last burn spell. We did win game 1, yeah. They've had a pretty good hand. And also, we haven't. You can pot into any changeling you want. Yeah, the problem is there aren't too many good changelings. There are some. I mean, I think Goblins is like the most obvious. Like, just it plays so well with Mog War Marshal, Goblin Matron, Goblin Ringleader. Sure, I'm glad Muxus isn't modern legal. I think that card is going to be great in historic Goblins. All right, on the play this time, going to resubmit. It is nice that we were able to win to get to game 3 without showing them the Madcap. It's not impossible. My opponent knows, of course. But I do think just getting to game 3 without showing them the Madcap has a decent amount of value. I'm gonna keep this. Kind of a weird hand. They bolted the Snap. It's kind of the same to bolt the Snap or bolt me because I'm at 2. Don't think it matters. I think it works best in the Grimgully Persist creature shell. Maybe. I don't know. I feel like the Grimgully thing kind of stinks. Like you have to play... You are right that the Persist creatures work well with it. That's a good point. But I feel like you just have to play so many more goblins that are not good on their own compared to the more stock version. I'll take a hit of 1 so I can path a Swift Spear, probably. Or sorry, path an Eidolon. But if they yeah, I'll just path now. Yeah, it seems like we're gonna be just in on this Madcap this game. Since it's all we have. Just drawing all lands. You feel like the Tribal Pod is not going to do much because it costs 2 to activate. 2 is a lot more than 1. Yeah, but I mean, it also costs 1 less mana than the initial Birthing Pod does. 2 is a lot more than 1, I agree, but 2 is also a lot less than 3. Math lessons with Spike. Suspends a Rift Bolt. Yeah, I'm now splitting 2 paths. I'm also playing 1 Shatter Skull Smashing and a Settle the Wreckage of the main. And honestly, the paths are way worse in this matchup. Not that this is a super common matchup. I think there just are enough like red-black decks, and like I have missed path. There are enough creatures that Bolt misses that I think you should probably split, despite it also being awkward on the mana. You know, so like let's not pretend that this new card is Birthing Pod. It's obviously designed to remind you of Birthing Pod, but it is not. They're not the same card. But that doesn't mean this one's not playable. You know. Yeah. Pod usually costs 3 and 1, but also like at the cost of 4 life, which is not free. That's not no cost at all. Ooh, interesting. I would love to find a way to make it work with Yawgmoth, because Yawgmoth is very near and dear to my heart. Problem is, like, the Undying creatures are so crucial, and I don't believe that there's any overlap. Geist is a spirit, and Young Wolf is a wolf, and Jarl's Messenger is a zombie. Everyone has 1 card in their hand. If it's an answer to Emperion, we lose. Dark App, thank you. Dark Apprentice, thank you for a Twitch Prime. Love to see a new subscriber. Hope that you're having a good day today. If we get on top with the second Madcap Experiment, I have a hard time imagining us losing. Well, maybe that's not true. No, yeah, I'm having a hard time. They're attacking. I'm not going to block. Weird flex. Thank you for the flagstones. I'd be very surprised to make it. Yeah. Like I don't think that this card is gonna like redefine Modern for sure. They didn't block their Eidolon, or maybe not for sure, but I doubt that this card is gonna have nearly the impact Birthing Pod will. But I think there's a chance it's playable. You know, there's a chance it finds a home. Yeesh. Always feels so bad to mulligan a Flagstones Wildfire. In fact, I don't think I will. We're on the draw. I've got a lot of red sources in the deck, and I think that this is just a better keep than a 5-card hand. It is funny, I did cut a mountain for an island. This could have been the other island, but cool, just all the red source. Play this so they can maybe think we're Storm. I don't know how different that's going to make them play, though. Do I think Birthing Pod would be as dominant in Modern? It's possible it would be more dominant, even. Dude, how awesome would it be to get Shadow of Doubted? Birthing Pod never got to play with the Devoted Druid combo or the Yawgmoth, synergies, and the Yawgmoth synergies are very, very good with Birthing Pod. The Stringer Geist, Yawgmoth's, the Undying thing. So, like, Birthing Pod was really dominant when the combo was Malera, Kitchen Finks, Murderous Redcap, Viserys here, and so I think it would be I think it would be very, very good, very good. If not more dominant, I would imagine it would be like immediately a tier 1 deck. Yeah, Heliod combo too, for sure. It would have a ton of options. Still has Kiki combo to play as well. It would be really interesting and a lot of fun to build with and play, but I think it's good that it was banned. We talked about this a little bit yesterday, and by a little bit I mean constantly, nonstop, every stream, all stream. But cards like Birthing Pod really do restrict design space when you're talking about, you know, having them be in your format. You know, having a card like Birthing Pod means it's very difficult to print creatures with good ETB triggers, with good dies abilities, without having them just run too rampant. Let's double Wildfire this turn, I think. Sometimes you can get them off of double green. I think my opponent's Sultai. Obviously their Sultai Spike. I mean Sultai instead of a 4-color or a pile. Corridor Monitor is like actually surprisingly relevant too. It just gets a lot. The Archmage Charm version. One I've never really liked, honestly. I mean, you can make it work. It's just kind of hard to play both Field of the Dead and Archmage Charm, which they aren't necessarily playing Field, but it looks like they are because they've split their snow lands. We have cut them off of green. Mystic Sanctuary back Charm. Yeah, I agree that this Tribal Birthing Pod is really good design. I agree completely. It's just like look at how much people are talking about it, and they don't know if it's good. It's just kind of perfect, honestly. It's like the exact feeling I think you're supposed to elicit when you have a card like this. All right, let's play a Blood Sun, see if it gets a force or not. Their top card is Charm. We don't know any card in their hand. Does not get a Force of Negation, and so them getting green mana could be a task. Okay, Serum Visions before we play the Canal because we draw a Lotus Field. I will bottom both of these though. Play my Canal, which enters untapped. Does a Tribal Pod go in my Leviathan EDH deck? I'd have to look at the curve. I do play a Kraken Hatchling, and I'm trying to like... I don't think I have any 2s to put it to pod into, but also like the creature types are sadly all over the place in the deck. They're kind of all over the place. Dude, Narset's so good here, and they're not minusing, which is probably fine for us. Just make a shark and smack it. Yeah, like I even have like some anti-synergies because some of the sea monsters I'm playing are fish. I've got like a fish, and I've got there's another one that doesn't work with my commander, Slinvada. But I just kind of think they're neat. Well, Charm, take the shark. Maybe if they hold it up, which they are. So I guess we just make it a 3/3. I think we still need to make this shark. Now we kind of have them tapped out. Sort of hoping to find a bolt. Doesn't feel very good, but I want to get this Narset off the table. I don't really mind so much if they counter this, because this Teferi isn't very good. Long-time Team Birthing Pod player, and to play a creature and tap 2 mana is just not worth it. Well, I mean Birthing Pod costs 3 mana and 2 life, as opposed to 2 mana, which is a really big difference too. In fact, the first activation effectively costs the same. I don't know, like Birthing Pod is too good for Modern. You know what I mean? We were talking yesterday, and I'm not saying I definitely disagree with you. I'm just saying I think it's probably too early to say the card is not good without actually playing with it. But we were talking the other day about like a fixed version of Faithless Looting, and someone said there was no way to make a fixed version of Faithless Looting. And that just is wild to me, to think like in this game where there are infinite combinations of cards you can play. To think that there's no way to make a fixed version of this effect is ludicrous in my opinion. And I'm gonna go and bounce this Jace on their upkeep and draw a card. I was also kind of thinking that maybe you could have 1 mana, draw a card, discard a card, and then have it flashback for 2. I think that could maybe even be like a fine enabler, but Magic cards are really hard to evaluate, and I think this card like is very, very interesting and cool, and I hope I get to play with it. I think we've just debated careful study versus faithless looting endlessly on this channel, and I'm just pretty over it. But I agree it would be interesting. No, discarding cards first would be too good because of Dredge. They would just get to Dredge immediately. My opponent found Force of Negation, which is like the worst case scenario. So let's path their Shark, see if they force this. They also get access to green mana now. I'm going to attack their Narset, stop them from being able to activate it, and I'm not going to just jam any of these spells into a force. Faithless Rummaging, but you exile the cards as a cost. Like draw 2, exile 2, or exile 2, draw 2. Like that isn't playable in any deck. Ah, right on time, Lotus Field. Is the Bloodstone gone? Can I show up to the hand now? It is. You can show up. We're pretty dead here. Kind of nice to get to eat the Jace activation, but so we can Teferi and plus. We don't get to draw a card. We do get to hold up these spells. I had to pitch my Nexus of Fate to a force this game, which feels kind of bad. Yeah, Damping Sphere is so good against our deck. Oh, yeah, so just still have forced. Okay, well, go into game 2. I think I'll still play the bolts. Bolt answers Jason Narset sometimes. I think a little worried about Uro with this configuration. I think I'll probably revisit the other Jeskai version at some point, but I've been liking this version a lot, and I feel like this is the one I want to be working on right now. I don't know, I've been seeing a lot of Damping Sphere lately, honestly. Maybe should have found room for the Abrades. Keep this hand. Top. Bottom. Mismatching cards. I like mismatching these Serum Visions until I figure out which like version I like the most. But the mismatch here is intentional. The Steam Vents are rented cards. Oh, dude, why Thalia? I think the why Thalia bit maybe will die, but it was pretty good. We've had some good memes flourish recently. Do not jam a Narset. Cool. Got 5 mana on turn 4, feeling pretty good. All right, now they have to either discard a card or play a spell on their turn. So I don't think we're supposed to fight over this charm. In fact, I'll just let them discard a card without like giving them a target for like if they just like charm steal my Shark, it's pretty bad for us here, as opposed to just letting them discard. Although they did just get to discard an arrow. Balance Triumph EOT. The problem with that is like it's pretty tough for us if they just have like a remand, if they have a Cryptic Command, or I guess not Cryptic exactly, but if they have a counterspell plus a Force of Negation, It's pretty bad. I think you're just supposed to let them go to discard in spots like that. Just wait a turn, you know? Your opponent's kind of telling you that you don't need to do anything just yet. It's a good draw. I think I'm just going to play the Lotus Field this turn, ramp a bit more. Hardcast Typhoon. Oh, huge misplay. You're always supposed to do that. Why no Hardcast Typhoon? It was just a mistake. Just a mistake. Oops. We'll let that go. Feels bad whenever a shark, you know, gets yeeted back into the Aether, but I think we're supposed to hold up Cryptic for their turn, of course. Might make a 2/2 shark in a turn. Might save it to be a bit bigger. So they're going to probably Veil, and we'll force pitching Snapcaster Mage. Oh, they have the same thing, really. Yeah. Although Snapcaster is our only counterspell. I'm not 100% sure that's good. We have a couple looks at another counterspell. A lot of mana. I'm going to play Teferi first. Cool. Maybe I was supposed to tap both Lotus Fields. It's like a little awkward though if they force it and we tap both fields. Mistyped your lands. Maybe it's kind of awkward. I think if we tap both fields and then a shark that we cast is a little smaller on their turn. That would be the reason why not two. Is like if we want to hold both Tails End and Cycle Shark, like, and we tap both fields, all of a sudden we're just making a 1/1 shark instead of a 2/2. If they Force of Negation the Teferi. So it's definitely a conversation there. Maybe, or maybe not. Maybe I'm just wrong. If they, yeah, I'm just gonna Cryptic this. And I'll probably Tails in the Polluted Delta too if I get the option. Nice to have a Wildfire for the Field of the Dead. This stops them from getting a zombie too. So I think it's worth casting. Might hardcast the Shark Typhoon. Probably will. Another Lotus Field to the playset. Maybe we should cycle. Yeah, we probably need to make sure that we aren't just gonna like flood out and run out of gas here. Cool. This is the third time this game we're sacking a Flagstones to our Lotus Field. You didn't realize this was a coward stream? I guess it is. Maybe it always has been. Silver can make a 9/9 shark. Although maybe we'll just make like a 5/5 after we snap Tails End Uro, or maybe we'll just try to snap Cryptic. See if the Snapcaster resolves. Ooh, this was... Oh, no, we can still make a 3/3 shark. My opponent can escape Uro, though. We can hardcast Typhoon plus play a Teferi Hero of Dominaria, maybe? Or just make a 3/3 shark and get after this Jace.
I opened today.
You opened today?
Yeah.
Sorry. Did your schedule change, or did you just forget? Cycle for Force. No, you don't want to cycle for Force because then they can just like go Jace minus on the shark. Do you want a 4th Wildfire, actually? Probably not. I did add the 4th Wildfire to the board. I'm not sure that it's good. But I feel like there's like a lot of Oopsal spells in Belcher, and like it's obviously good against a lot of the ramp strategies. I recommend this version of Jeskai if you want to play Jeskai right now. You like the 4th Wildfire, maybe over Shadow Skull Smashing. Interesting. It's possibly something you should do. Maybe I'm supposed to leave up Tails in for Narset, and it's ludicrous to Wildfire. But it is also nice to like have a 2-mana spell that's worth countering in a spot like this. And they just don't have Narset, so Pog, I guess. I will Tails in Field of Ruin if they choose to field here. They do not. Wise. I think my hand's like pretty good right now. I don't know exactly like what I'm awakening away. So I'm just gonna not cast it yet. You try to Maria's Call. I really feel like lands that like white lands are tough because you already play 4 Flagstones in a deck that isn't very heavy on white. So like having just another land that only taps for white, and I think it's just a bit loose. You know what I mean? Like if it tapped for a different color, I'd be more down. I thought for sure they were gonna veil me. Can we keep a shark? Although I suppose it means I'm missing my land drop next turn, maybe. Probably fine. The blue land is Seagate Restoration. I'm definitely considering playing a Seagate Restoration. Not missing my land drop next turn. Is it reasonable to board out an Awakening? I think Awakening probably doesn't board out in this matchup, but I'm like kind of down to board it out maybe in some. I don't know, like maybe like the 26 lands with 3 of those being spell lands is just your mana base, and you shouldn't tweak it that often, but I will agree that people in general don't change their mana bases post board enough. I think that mana bases like should be like, you should consider cutting lands or maybe even adding lands post board in some matchups in Magic the Gathering. I'm going to attack. It's a really interesting spot here. There's like no way there's anything we cast is resolving.
Welcome, Spikelings, to the Shark Typhoon.
So I think I'm going to play my weakest spell, Cleansing Wildfire. Doug Dimmadraven, thank you for a tier 1 subscription. Hope you're having a good day today. Appreciate you. And I'm also like totally fine if they Field of Ruin my Flagstones. That's not like a bad thing at all for us. And I'm just going to play this tapped and pass. Yeah, they probably play 2 basic forests, I agree. It's pretty hard to not play 2 basic forests in your Uro deck. Alright. Well, having a 3/3 shark is pretty good against the 2/2 zombies. Gonna play a Blood Sun. See how they want to respond to this. Pretty down to Tails in this fetch land, since it stops them from triggering Field of the Dead a second time. They're going to counter the Blood Sun and draw a card. So I'll just probably go Island, Blood Sun. And attack with my shark if this doesn't get forced. I mean, either way, I think I'm attacking. Doesn't get forced, which is nice. I think that's like not unlikely at all, though, that they just have an Abrupt Decay. At least that's a 2-for-1. They're also at 8. We do have 2 Lightning Bolts in the deck. Let's draw both of those. Okay, they're not going to decay my Moon if they're going to play the Forest first, or if they are, they've made a mistake. They have Jace into Narset. I also probably shouldn't be F6 to like represent Forest, just kind of too lazy. You fight so aggressively or fetches with Tails in. I think it was correct there because they get a zombie if we don't counter there. I think it was good in that spot. I obviously don't think you should do it in every spot, you know. Let's play Narset first. Yeah, Narset is great in these matchups and against an active Jace. I'm going to minus the Narset's going to survive a hit. Force of Negation was a really good pickup. Can protect this Teferi if they have a counterspell, but they didn't cast a counterspell on the Narset. Deal 1 mana Teferi. Kind of wish I had a Valakut Awakening. Although we can, if we cast the Cryptic Command, I'll bounce a Valakut Awakening. But I'm not gonna. Hopefully, we can go counter bounce instead of bounce draw. They tap Field of Ruin, maybe wanting to Field of Ruin my Lotus Field, seeing that the Hexproof has been removed, and realizing that they cannot, because Bloodstone also removes Field of Ruin's ability. They plus target themselves and they keep a card on top. Play a basic island. Gonna pass back. Let's just untap. They have a stop on my upkeep here. They've let me go to my upkeep though. Poggers. Yeah, Bloodstone does take Hexproof off Lotus Field. But it also removes, like, you know, Field of Ruin and Ghost Quarters abilities, so they have to have, like, a Cleansing Wildfire or Pillage or something, Fulminator Mage. Canister's been waiting this whole time for the hardcast Shark. Giving the people what they want. Let's counter and bounce a Valakut Awakening. Dispel, and I guess I'll counter draw. I mean, these resolve pretty easily. They may have like more cards like Dispel in their hand. Okay, fair enough. Maybe this was bad to fight like this. Probably fine. Yeah, maybe we're supposed to use Force of Negation instead of the second Cryptic. Now we lose Jace and they get to Brainstorm. I think I'm going to Tails End the Jace Brainstorm. Seems fine to me, right? I guess I'm going to have to take Athena out because Esther is going to this morning, but she didn't realize she was working the morning. We'll try to do it after this next match. Or after this match. Aggressive? I mean, I think it feels correct to me to do so. It's possibly we get, like, punish somehow for it, but I really don't want them to get a Brainstorm off here. They had a Narset in their hand. Do they have another counterspell? It's so weird for them to have so many counterspells. Like when we got to resolve Narset into Teferi, but like if you look, they had, you know, spell mana leak that they couldn't really play. Maybe. Wow, they had Cryptic. How did they have all these cards when like they weren't? I guess they just drew really well. But like we were able to resolve Narset into Teferi and they like haven't been able to get a Brainstorm off this whole time. I'm just not sure exactly how this happened. They put a Charm in their hand too. Okay, that was a big draw. Let's go bolt their Narset and probably just -3 on the Jace. Obviously, there are cards we could draw that would be better than -3, but I think we just want to play it kind of safe. See your water bottle? I think it's in here. Okay, sorry about the delay there. Should have F6'd. Get an Uro into play. Things have swung so much in our opponent's favor. Crazy, crazy, crazy. The Jace is now the top card of their library, right? And their hand is Archmage's Charm, Uro in the graveyard, 2 mystery cards. They decide to hold up the Charm. We draw another land. What a game. I did watch Spider play the mono red hollow one list last night. It looked really cool. I don't think my opponent's going to charm this. If they do, we do lose, but I don't think that they're going to charm it. So I like casting it. Maybe like this gets to keep a Teferi alive for next turn. Draw another land. I'm not going to play a land because we could like pick up a Valakut. We could Valakut Awakening at some point, maybe. Your deck seems to struggle a bit leveraging the mana advantage from Lotus Fields. That's true for sure to some extent. My main thought process is like you just don't have to use all your mana every turn for like the extra mana to be good, and you play the Valakut Awakenings to kind of, you know, sculpt your hand a bit in spots like this. And I think that in my opinion, it feels like you want to have like the backup plan of just playing like a regular Jeskai control deck more so than you want to have like a lot of mana sinks. Is how I've approached building the deck. They get an Abrupt Decay, pretty dead here. We do have, you know, a Nexus of Fate in the main, 3 Typhoons, 4 Cryptics. I think it's definitely easy to feel like the deck is looking bad too when it rips 4 lands in a row or 4 lands in a redundant Teferi. Read his mulligan to 6 on the play. Yeah, we changed probably like 6 cards today, something like that. Looks like Reed is having a hard mulligan decision over there.
What's up? It's me, your friend, Aspiring Spike.
She hearing 3 months in a row. Hope you're having a good day today. Appreciate ya. All right. Reed playing Reclaimer. It's interesting. Let me play this Tat. Turn 1. Hopefully Reed does not activate Elvish Reclaimer on main phase and we get the Tails on the activation. I mean, Tails in the Lotus Field trigger is fine too. I will say that this is a good matchup. The best card in the matchup though is Bloodstone, and we don't actually have any of those in our hand. I haven't played against Reed in a while. There was like a week where we played against each other 2 or 3 times a while ago. Reed not playing around the Tail's End. It's a pretty solid exchange, I think. Not like the sickest thing ever, but fine. Maybe I was supposed to play Steam Vents on turn 1. That way if I drew a Flagstones on turn 2, I could still have Tails Ended. Plays around the Tails End this time. Does not. Interesting. Maybe he's just okay with me making that trade again. Just go shields down. We can stop Tails End next turn.
What's up? It's me, your friend.
Which is a bit worse if we're Tails Ending them sacking a Flagstones. Did I listen to the Week of Metal Chaldean playlist? No, all of my MTG content is Twitch chat, so you guys aren't telling me to do it. I don't know it exists. It's the first time I've heard of it. Leave it to Aspiring Spike to Tails End by Reclaimer activation, Reduke. That's awesome. Awesome to hear. If me taking Athena outside translated to me waiting for the perfect time to get paired against Reed, definitely worth the wait, I think. Plays a Valakut. I think I will snap Tails End the Reclaimer trigger this turn, because it's like just not super likely I get to use my mana otherwise, and it does slow my opponent down. And also stops them from getting another Flagstones. So I'll let the Flagstones trigger happen before I Tails in the Reclaimer. Just like good sequencing, but ultimately not that big a deal. It's also nice to have put the Shadow Skull Smashing in the graveyard in case I ever want to snap it back. That's one thing I really like about the Lotus Field in this deck. And we can go to Teferi into Valakut Awakening. I will force an Eladamri's Call if they main phase it, but I think that's pretty unlikely. Not going to force that, I guess. It's like a bit better just to put the call back with the Awakening, probably. Gotta play around Tails End. This is pretty cool. They sack the Sacred Foundry to get maybe another Flagstones, maybe a Castle Garenbrig. I'd be pretty scared to see Castle Garenbrig. Celestia Sanctuary is fine. Some Cleansing Wildfires to maybe get that, although I guess not this turn. This protects from a potential Titan this turn. Yes. Let's just play Teferi. And I kind of like upkeep pathing this Reclaimer, depending on what I draw, of course. They can cast a Titan here, but Titan has been pretty beatable in these spots I've found. But I do like if they activate the Reclaimer here and like that means they're just not casting a Titan if they activate Reclaimer. Are there any twiddle effects in consideration for the Lotus deck? Teferi. Teferi is the only good one, I think. No, we want to do this on upkeep to give my opponent less information about if Reed wants to use the Reclaimer or not. Do not want to draw step that, I think. How about Deceiver Exarch? No. You don't want to. I mean, I know it's a 0 mana 1/4, but that's also like not worth it. Yeah, Teferi. 1 mana Teferi is pretty good, huh? Cool. Things are looking pretty good for us. Eldorman's Call would let them get Dryad to go with their Valakut, which is not something I'm particularly interested in resolving. Force of Negation also has very few targets in the matchup. It's really just Explore and I guess Path and Eldarmer's Call game 1, and Eldarmer's Call is the one you want to Force of Negation the most. Alright, so I'm going to Awakening away, Lightning Bolt, and I might get rid of this Shark Typhoon too, actually. Yeah, I really want to find a counter spell, but I'll keep this Snapcaster. Okay. I suppose we Serum Visions before we Wildfire, just to dig a bit deeper. Tails End is fine. And I will go ahead and just Wildfire their Valakut. There we go. We also have Snap Awakening, which is nice. Love to find a Blood Sun. Although Lotus Field is not bad here. So let's go Snapcaster, Valakut's Awakening away, the redundant Teferi, and the Path. Draw 3 new cards. You want to use your mana on your turn too, because we're about to get to untap a bunch. I know that we could prevent the sack by just playing the Blood Sun next turn, but I think untapping the both Lotus Fields has more value. How did Grixis Dragon did pretty well yesterday. I was enjoying the deck. I think it's pretty good. We also have Tails End for the Blast Zone if they take it up to 5 here. You have Cryptic plus Tails End. MTGO user against MTGO streamer, yeah. Kind of sweating playing against MTGO streamer. So, maybe in the way calling me an MTGO user is a bit of a disservice. Calling Reed an MTGO streamer also feels like a disservice as well. MTG God, Reed Duke. MTG Hero. Has the Blue Castle been suggested yet? I do not believe that we play enough islands to play the Blue Castle. Not quite enough mana to activate the Blast Zone. It's fine. About to ultimate. Yeah, I guess we just turn off the Blast Zone with this Blood Sun. Gonna get a second one down. Play Steam Vents. Attack for 4. Untap Lotus Fields. Pass. We get to ultimate this next turn, but we also get to maybe just kill them with damage. Yeah. Also, castles are bad with Blood Sun. That's true. This is fun. I'm not going to Tails in the trigger because we have Blood Sun in play. I'm just going to save this also with our Teferi ult. Could this deck be ported so the store can be competitive? Yeah, I do think so. Holy Diva is another MTG streamer who has been playing the deck. I actually think we have a command. Yeah. Cool. Man, I'm so prepared. I'm a good streamer. Let me look at my sideboard guide. I can't remember exactly what my plan was for this matchup. And if you are interested in the sideboard guide for this deck and a few others, although it is a little out of date, I made some changes for today. You can get that by subscribing and linking your Twitch and Discord accounts and typing !Discord in the chat to join. So this has me leaving in 2 bolts, but this was before I had Path in the deck, so this may change. -1 Force, -1 Tails End, and just plus the 4 Aether Gust. Although that was also when this Settle the Wreckage was the 4th Serum Visions. So I think I would like to... Path is really nice to be able to answer... I think Path is better than Bolt in this matchup. I think I want to play 2 Tails End. Also, I'll play 2 Path, 1 Bolt, I think. Could maybe play the 4th Wildfire. I will say Wildfire is much worse against my opponent's deck than it is against Amulet Titan or Tron or E-Tron. But it's maybe better than like the 4th Bolt. But yeah, we're playing 3 main deck Tails End. It's really nice in this deck because it can counter your Lotus Field trigger. So even if it's dead in any matchup, it's never truly dead. It also pitches to Force. But it also hits a lot of it hits stuff out of almost every deck. And you often do trim some numbers as well. Reed is playing Reclaimer Titan. I wonder if Reed is recording. Recording, if you will. Nice to have the Force of Negation as a answer to Blood Sun. Or answer to Boil. Saw the Blood Sun in my brain. Did an oops. I'm not going to cast the Serum Visions next turn because I'm going to want to hold up Gust. So I think I'm just going to bottom it. Could be fine to draw though. The Blood Sun also cantrip, so I think it's pretty likely we hit lands. Yeah, just randomly got paired against Reed Duke. It's kind of funny how Fate works, because Esther Esther thought that she was closing tonight, but she was opening, and she had to leave, and so I had to take Athena out in between last round and this round, and because of that timing, I got to play against Reed, which is cool. Always something I like to do. Spike, how do I start your brewing process? I get asked this a lot, but for me, how it basically always goes is it just starts with an idea. And so I very rarely will sit down saying I'm going to brew today, and I'm going to unbox my process. And instead, when I have an idea, I start brewing. You know, I do not. There's really nothing more to it than that. I think I will force Eladamri's Call. Maybe I'm supposed to Aether Gust it, but I think the Gust has a bit more value. And like holding Force for Boil, I think makes less sense when Boil only kills one of my lands right now. Like Boil is not nearly as good against me as it is against other decks. We'll see if I regret bottoming that Serum Visions. Looks like I won't. It's also like if Reed just like has the foresight to get Skyclave Apparition, it's a really big deal. Looks like that's not the case. Reed is a very good player in my opinion. Dang, I didn't know we were doing hot takes today. Does have a Knight of Autumn in hand. At least we get a kind of a 2-for-1, although this 2-1 is kind of relevant, so maybe a 2-for-2, 1-for-1. See if there's a Veil of Bummer over there. Pretty easy to ferry into Aether Gust. Basically no decision at all this turn. Even get to hold up Path 2, although I think it's not very likely we end up casting it. Is there a difference between a 2-for-2 and a 1-for-1? I mean, yeah. They're not exactly the same thing. Don't overthink it. It's always my advice to chat. Because sadly chat tends to overthink it. I think I'm just going to make a 3-3 Shark in my instep. And hold up Gust plus Path. And a 3-3 is bigger than a 2-2 and a 2-1. Okay, this is fine. We get to keep our Teferi by just pathing Skyclave, I guess. I should have let them attack, but saving some time. No, Reed played the Skyclave so he could attack this Teferi. You know, the Skyclave is definitely a sign that his hand isn't very good, but it's play the Skyclave and be able to maybe attack it down next turn if my hand's not good versus lose the game on the spot. So almost like not even a decision at all. There's Lotus Field. None of these cards really do much, and obviously playing the Lotus Field really does accelerate our mana, so... Gonna do that here. Now we have any combination of 3 of these 2-mana spells up, although I guess it's kind of hard to tap Lotus Field and play 2 of these instants. Probably cycle the Triome. Aether Gust is good against Primeval Titan. Puts the Primeval Titan on top.
Welcome, Spikelings, to
trade.
the Shark Typhoon.
Shane, 11 months in a row. Reduke, more like Reed sub. Welcome back, Shane. Hope you're having a good day today, bud. Can shuffle away the Titan with Cleansing Wildfire this turn. And alright, I know it was incorrect last game, but let's give the people what they came here to see. Kind of nice to be able to sacrifice Shadow Skull Smashing with Lotus Field and get to untap it, and and get to maybe flashback the smashing down the line. You came here to see Athena. She is down here. Barely can see her. She's hanging out. Yeah, this is a really good matchup for us. Like, this is maybe the control deck that is best against Reclaimer, which is kind of cool since the Reclaimer kind of boasts itself as being like the big mana deck that's good against control, and then there's some play there. I'm going to play the Lotus Field. Maybe it's good to shuffle it away because we have infinite mana, but honestly, I find it very difficult to believe we can lose this game at this point. Maybe I should have played the other Teferi for a Shark. Alright, GG's Reed. GG's. Good matchup, I think, for us. I don't think that that's it. Yorion the Sky Nomad, huh? I can keep this. What do I think about the cycle mechanic? I think it's good. Better than the snow mechanic. We should do a mechanic tier list one day. One day we did a Planeswalker. For a while I was trying to
Welcome, Spikelings, to the Shark Typhoon.
Planeswalker tier list every Planeswalker ever printed on stream one day, and it was fun for like the first 15 minutes maybe, and then got old really quick. Maybe we'll go back to it at one point. Wiped down 2 months. Love to see that second month in a row. Hope you're having a good day today. Yeah, it's definitely like keeping this partially on Blood Sun resolving. Forest Abundant Growth makes me think that this is Niv. Could also be Copycat, I guess. Maybe this hand it was a mulligan on the draw. Although, assuming they can't answer the Blood Sun, our turn 4 is we're gonna be in good shape, I think. What do you think is the worst matchup for any deck? Just like the worst matchup ever. It's kind of interesting to talk about. So like you probably should exclude decks that are like really, really bad, right? Like actual real matchups, you know? But then when you talk about that, it's a little weird because usually when a matchup is like 80-20, if you have an 80-20 matchup against a tier 1 deck, like if you're the 20 side, your deck just is maybe just not viable. So it's like if you really have this like crazy you probably just need to think about it in terms of like standard decks maybe. You can maybe think about it like, I remember this is almost definitely not my final answer. But I remember Mardu Vehicles had an incredible Torrential Gearhulk control matchup. Basically, like that whole standard. It was kind of like a rock paper scissors standard where Mardu Vehicles was really good against Gearhulk control, and then Gearhulk control was really good against the Marvel and Black Green decks, and then the Black Green deck was good against the Black Green deck was good against the Mardu Vehicles deck, and then the Marvel matchup had like a kind of even matchup against everything besides Gearhulk control, in my opinion. I'm gonna keep a Force of Negation. Yeah, you're actually right. Black Green lost to Marvel. And then I think Hero Control is good against Black Green and Marvel, but bad against really bad against vehicles. Like, it was really bad. And the Helix Might Teferi. Elves versus Mono Red Phoenix. Definitely. I mean, Elves has a lot of really bad matchups like that, honestly. I do need to bounce this Ren and probably force it on the way down. Kind of scared to tap out, though. We just have so much mana if we untap here that I don't think we need to tap out. My parents butt dial me all the time. Just got one from my dad.
Welcome, Spikelings, to the Shark Typhoon.
Wookie Malay, thank you for your Twitch Prime subscription. Hope you're having a good day today. Lots of new subscribers today. It's been a good day. Reminder, you know, the stream is brought to you by viewers that are you. I'm out in the streets every night, rattling my cup, looking for sponsors, but still just you guys. Please, sir, will you sponsor the stream? I think I'm gonna cut the wildfires. It's kind of hard to have like that 2-mana sorcery speed spell against Niv sometimes. Although it is good if they are on the Utopia Sprawls, which they probably are. I think I'm just gonna play I would play just 2 wildfires and play the Narset on the play and not the draw. Raid Shadow Legends has asked me to do a stream, but that's like not really what I'm looking for as far as sponsorships go, you know? How hard am I rattling? Not very hard, honestly. I was doing a bit. I have reached out to people. I just haven't really found like the kind of sponsorship deal I'm looking for. You know, I want kind of like a partnership where I can make content for a website and have like a reciprocal relationship that's good for both parties instead of like a one-time cash grab that kind of hurts the stream a bit, like Raid Shadow Legends. You know, I do think that something that's just like so clearly just for the money is bad for the stream, and I care way more about like improving the quality of the stream than getting a few $100 one time. You heard Shadow Legends pays a lot. They don't pay people like me a lot. I have a price for Shadow. I would do Shadow Legends for the right price, but I didn't get the right price. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm not complaining. I'm not complaining, and what I'm trying to point out is like I'm able to bring the stream to you guys without a sponsor, and that has been very, very cool, and I'm proud of that fact. It's really, really sweet. You know, I'm just an MTGO user, just an MTGO user trying to make his way in the world. Dude, we have the nuts of the turn 2 Wildfire into Blood Sun on top Lotus Field on turn 3. Not necessarily anything to do with the mana besides like Serum Visions, but still pretty cool. Why is Teferi no longer on the board? Is it related to too many Shark Typhoon? It's because in this deck specifically, gold cards with CMC 3 or less are really awkward in Lotus Field. Like, it's hard to cast like 3 drops on turn 3 when you have Lotus Field sometimes. And then if you have a Lotus Field in play, you have like this extra mana that you're not doing anything with, which is sometimes weird. Thank you for the cheers, Slabo. So I was playing it for a while, and it did feel like the worst card in the deck. And I'm pretty happy to feel like it is a pretty good feeling to feel like the card you want to cut is Teferi the Fun Raveler. Like, Teferi the Fun Raveler shouldn't go in your Jeskai deck.
What's up? It's me, your friend, Aspiring Spike.
But I do genuinely think it was correct to cut. Party Pat, 2 months in a row. Hope you're having a good day today. Appreciate ya. What has been my highest viewer count of all time? I think I got like 30 viewers one time. Still striving to hit that high again. One day, yeah, I don't know. I feel like that one, I kind of want to leave that one cheer sound. Just kind of leave it under the radar. And I'm just kind of trying to talk over it a bit. And maybe we can fly under the radar a bit. I don't know. Probably too risky. Yeah, me and the dive down have been trying to work out a time to get back on. Shane was in the chat earlier. I love the dive down. It's just like the biggest problem is that they record on Mondays, which is like the time that works best for them, and I can't do Mondays. And so we've just had a hard time finding a spot where we can both record. We could cycle Typhoon for 0 to see if we find Force of Negation. But who needs a Force of Negation, right? Bolt the Birdie, 100 bits. Thank you, thank you. Yeah. If I can ever do Monday, I'll tell you, Shane. Maybe sometime this holiday season, actually. Spike is Garfield. No, I play Pathfinder on Mondays. And I do take, like, the D&D Pathfinder commitment seriously, like, with your group, you know. You're all setting aside this time to play together. How did the MTGO user joke start? I was mentioned in an article as, because on MTG Goldfish my list was the 5.0 list published. They said MTGO user aspiring Spike, and they just have no idea that I stream, which is funny. I should turn my speakers down a bit. I still can't believe Flagstones is plains and not basic plains. Yeah, definitely a big buff this card. Alright, Bloodstone has already gotten us value. This was, like, basically a 3-for-1. If you count... I think you should count Lotus Field as card advantage here. Just getting that into play. And it also drew a card when it entered and 8 did Abrupt Decay. Maybe even a 4-for-1, actually. Because this is effectively worth 2 cards. You ever thought of becoming a streamer? Maybe one day. I don't know. I am a lowly MTGO user, and I don't know if I have the chops. Could be worth looking into. Yeah, we have one slot open for tomorrow's Dono Deck queue, if you're interested in jumping in. MTGO streamer aspiring Spike. Sounds kind of nice. I like the ring of that. What are the decks for tomorrow? So we've got a Legacy Blue-Green Stifle Uro deck. And then we have a Legacy Heliod combo, which is kind of interesting. And then, like, you also get to pay a lot of life to Sylvan Library is kind of the idea, because you're gaining life, which is also interesting. And then, what was the other one? Oh, Bant Reclamation, which is a build of my choice in Modern. It's a pretty good lineup for tomorrow. Playpoint Magister, aspiring Spike. Can the Dono deck be historic? No, I don't have a historic collection. So I can't do any arena. Are the lists on Stream Deck or no? Not yet. They'll be up there tomorrow. So what does my opponent have here? Hopefully not a Veil of Bummer. We do need to deal with this. I think our hand is a little forced. How much is there much money in hat modeling? Less than you'd think. I keep putting on hats and people don't send me money for it. They just send me channel points. Hat model aspiring Spike. They discard Rin and 6. Let's cast this before we plus with the Teferi. I'll keep a Dispute. Do I want a Lotus Field? Kinda. We get to untap it. Seems good. Let's keep both of these. Maybe I was supposed to tap my Lotus Field. No, we're stacking 2 lands, so I think it makes sense to tap 2 lands a bit more. Their draw definitely hasn't seemed very good against ours.
Shark Typhoon.
Shuffle, thank you for Twitch Prime. Very, very cool. Lots of new subscribers today. Stream has been killing it lately. The key is to just figure out how to stop these crashes. And we had some on Monday, I think, but the last couple days have been pretty smooth at least. Although I've potentially jinxed it. Not a jinx expert by any means. What are we discarding here? Hand is so good. Maybe just the smashing. The smashing honestly hasn't felt great today.
What's up? It's me, your friend Aspiring Spike.
Maybe goes into an awakening. Shane gifting 5 subs for a total of 97. It's super sick. And if you guys are interested in what in my opinion is one of the if not the like highest produced, highest quality podcasts for MTG in the game, the Dive Down podcast, would really recommend checking them out. All right, we're not going to counter Kaya because Kaya doesn't do anything.
What's up? It's me, your friend Aspiring Spike.
Because we can't get you on recently. I love being on. It is my favorite podcast to go on, I think, too. Yeah.
What's up? It's
definitely.
Me, your friend Aspiring Spike.
Ooh, exiling 2 cryptics. Never mind, Kaya is great.
What's up? It's me, your friend Aspiring Spike.
They're escaping an Uro. Yeah, this is going to be a hard cast Typhoon, for sure. I think I'll just go ahead and cycle the Triome, because I'm going to be greedy and hardcast a bunch of Typhoons. Alright. Hey, if you want to try my deck, it's an original invention of mine called Adventure Shift. Plays mid-range adventure strategy and combos with Adventure plus Spell Shift. Can you post a link in the chat? I feel like there's a joke being had here. Oh my gosh. Typhoon into Nexus of Fate. 4-color Adventure Shift. I've never read the card Spell Shift before. Alright, let's win this game real quick. I'll take a look. Okay. I'll keep this. I feel like it needs a Jace in case you draw the Primal Surge. Maybe. But the London Mulligan maybe helps with that to some extent. Yeah, the first Jace is probably good. Fae of Wishes is also interesting. I don't know. No, you can't play Valakut Awakening because it's an instant. If it was a land on, if it was on the front, if the front half was a land, that would work though. All right, obviously a untapped land is a really good draw, but worst case scenario, just play the field next turn. What format that was for? Modern. Yeah, Fae of Wishes is very slow. Ooh. Well, so this is interesting. I'm glad we get to play this matchup again. Before, I was like super confident that this matchup was just going to be very easy because we were main decking the Nexus. We played no fetch lands, and we're also making a ton of mana to loop Nexus. But I actually found that like winning the game was tough because you have to have a Shark or a Snapcaster or a ultimated Teferi. You know, like it's awkward because Teferi pluses to draw the card, and so like for Teferi to win, like you either have to already have it ultimated before you deck, or have 14 mana, which is a lot. So Does my opponent have Force of Negation? Maybe they're considering like surgically the Shark Typhoon in response or something. Or after the draw. JK, did you think about Omen of the Sea? What was your opinion on Omen of the Sea in the deck? I may have gotten a second donation while talking about the first. Oh, I did. Mr. Fister, we already have a full queue. I usually only accept 4 Donation decks for Thursdays. Otherwise, the stream would be like 9 hours. If you want, we can play your list next week. Although I guess also if you could post a link to it in the chat. But if next week doesn't work for you, I can also just refund you your dono. I got you, JK. I like your list, JK. I'm totally down to play it. A really cool idea for sure. What would be the goal of Omen of the Sea? The deck is already fundably plenty mana inefficient. That's fair. That's fair. I just like more so filtering. I think that it's fine to not play it. Just kind of spitballing, you know. I'll just play your list. I think it's good. Yeah, but if Fister is still in the chat, please let me know. Good morning, Joseph. Yeah, all the other Lotus Fields are in the graveyard, but it's fine. We don't need to have 2 in play necessarily. Next week is Christmas Eve, I see. Jeez, coming quick. Yeah, I can do it the week after. I think I will stream Christmas Eve and just skip Christmas. Tentative, though. Tentative. Don't really see why not. Yeah, the only reason why not would be like Esther says, no, we have plans this day. And I'll say, yes, sweetheart. Last night we watched a bunch of like community and office Christmas specials while drinking some whiskey cider. It was really fun. I've somehow divined my actual name from the Twitch handle, yeah. I have 100 IQ. Cool. I will make a sticky note to remind me. How can an opponent interact with Nexus? If we don't have a win condition in play or 14 mana with Teferi, Nexus, you cast infinite Nexuses, but you have to win the game. But they can also mill us before we can get 7 mana to hardcast it. But it's very hard for them to beat. And so I was definitely, when I first built this deck, I'm like, oh, we have an easy mill matchup. But I've only played against mill once before, but I did lose. With so it's possible that the matchup is not as good as I think it is. It's kind of also like the Bloodset is really crushing them here. Do I post these on YouTube as well? If I wanted to rewatch tomorrow, I have an editor that posts my not the whole league, every league to YouTube, but a lot of the stream to YouTube, and it's usually like about like a 5 or 6 day delay from when I play to when it actually goes up on YouTube, something like that. Sometimes quicker if I have like bad content that needs to get skipped over. Yeah, there's also the VOD, which are open to everyone. Yeah, the VOD is how to just watch it immediately. I think I'll counter this. Probably go counterbounce their orb. You even know why it's called a VOD? I don't know. I'm sure there are some Twitch historians in the chat that can answer though. Video on demand. Ah, there we go. Twitch historian gold. Gonna dump all of these. Was hoping to find the Nexus of Fate, but this is also just, you know, all gas, no brakes. I think once this Teferi hits 8 loyalty, the game ends, basically. Assuming my opponent can't deal with it, which I am assuming. I guess I was supposed to Visions first. Yeah, if you guys want to check out the YouTube, I do recommend it. My editor does a really good job keeping it fresh and keeping the videos coming. About why I'm not running Jace in this list. Well, we're not playing any fetch lands, and Jace is way worse without fetch lands. And we're playing Teferi is bananas in this list with Lotus Field. And in the old Jeskai list, I really liked, you know, 2 Jace, 2 Teferi. And so I still think I want like 4 big planeswalkers, right? But Jace is not very good without fetch lands. And we have Valakut Awakening to do what Jace does best, and which is stop you from flooding out. Yeah, I'm fine with getting milled here, since if they mill us out, we take infinite turns and kill them with sharks and exile all their permanents. So, kind of down, you know? Like, the sooner we draw our whole deck, the better. Like, them milling us just forwards our game plan. Getting exile all the permanents. Yeah, this matchup would be really miserable to play on paper. Which is just like what Nexus of Fate does to Magic the Gathering. This card is not very fun to play with. Or against. Maybe it's fun to play with. Looks like my bit rate may be a bit too low. Maybe. Your end. Can Visions make me draw? No, Visions cannot target opponents. But now we just draw the Nexus of Fate every single turn and make a 7/7 Shark every time we cast it. This will play around Force. Take infinite turns, deal infinite damage. Exile infinite permanents. Fourth Tail's End over the 3rd Wildfire. Just submit this. This needs to be out of here. I guess just for the Wildfire. I didn't. I just saw... '30th is Wednesday. And so that Thursday is New Year's, and the week after... maybe I could just refund you, Fister, and we could just figure it out later. Does that sound like a good solution? Just like donate like on the week that you want to see. Keeping a shark is pretty important. Kind of want to bottom these steam vents though. Just having a shark in play is a big game. Kept on top, didn't matter. They're gonna let me on tap with Tail's End. I'm gonna be thrilled. Okay, officially thrilled. Keep in mind, if we can get to 7 mana and have a Shark or a Snapcaster that can attack through the board, or, you know, unlikely at this point, but a big Teferi, we can win. Just keep track of the date. Okay, so what date did you want to solidify? Final answer. Dude, triple crab, double fetch land. Gross. To say the least. And also, in these 26 cards, none of these were the Nexus of Fate. Which it never is, honestly. So another 9 milled here? We probably don't even have a chance. Aha! 8 milled. Oh, it's 18 milled. Oh, okay. Let's call it. Game 3. Where not having 4 bolts and having the split is bad, and I don't think the paths have been better today. I mean, it's still just the first league. I think a crab, it just sucks. I don't think you're supposed to keep it in. It's really not something I think you want to do. Have I considered 2 Sweltering Sun? I think Subtle is better than Sweltering Sun. I know people have been asking me about it. But I think Subtle is like way better because of the whole Teferi untap play Subtle thing. And the smashing is like, it's not a sweeper, it's a land. Like it's nice that it's a land that can kill 2 creatures, but I don't think you're supposed to think of it as being a sweeper. Okay, I basically never cycle Typhoon for 0 in this matchup. I suppose you will when you have to hit a land, but I think you really don't want to do that. I think you really want to try to get a Shark into play to win the game with Nexus. We did mill over the Nexus here. We are 3-1, yeah, this league. Cryptic Command here. Tailsend is pretty nice if we get to counter either the Field of Ruin or if we just draw Lotus Field. Get to ramp a bit. And Cryptic Command's a bit clunky, as it often is. Narset is also interesting. I don't think the card is like phenomenal in the matchup, but it's pretty nice to have here. I'll keep a Serum Visions to try to find lands. Yeah, Surgicling Hero of Dominaria is kind of interesting. They may be considering it. Really good for us that they don't have a second crab. Way to win via damage with Lurrus. But if they didn't have a way to do so, just discarding to hand size does win the match. Or if you deal with the Lurrus. Orb, it's pretty good. Love to find a field to play. I'm gonna keep the Force. Really want to get a Shark into play, but I think we can take this turn to Serum Visions. It's really good if we find Lotus Field off of the Visions and can just get up to 7 mana. 2 fields at this point, I guess. So I guess the question is, are we okay milling these? And I actually think the answer is no. Kind of want to keep lands in the deck. Discarding the hand size has the issue of surgical. They still can't surgical Nexus, but they can surgical maybe something in your hand to stop you from being able to discard the hand size, I guess. But you can never surgical Nexus. Would running a Sublime Epiphany ever be worth it? So, we've talked about this a bit. Canister earlier came in and said, like, maybe we need Sphinx's Revelation. But in my mind, I really don't think you want cards that are only good when you're generating a ton of mana with Lotus Field. I think you want to try to have I think you want to try to be able to play a reasonable control game if you don't get to generate mana with Lotus Field. And I think that is really what makes more sense to me than playing Sphinx's Rev or Sublime Epiphany, which just honestly aren't cards that you're very incentivized to play in Modern, aren't super high power level cards that you're like really excited to get to put into your deck. That's what makes more sense to me in my mind. I'm not going to attack with the Shark because it will trigger Mesmeric Orb, but it will win the game once, or I should say maybe if I can get up to enough mana. I don't really want to Wildfire and open myself, like just let them mill me with the Crab right now. What about Expansion Explosion? I mean, it's the same thing. Like Expansion Explosion, Sphinx's Revelation, Sublime Epiphany, Torrential Gear Hulk. These cards will look really good when you're making a ton of mana with Lotus Field and will rot in your hand a lot. I think maybe more often or too often. And at the end of the day, these cards are just not really at the power level that they need to be to include in your modern deck, in my opinion. Also playing Shark Typhoon and Nexus of Fate and 4 Cryptic and 4 Teferi and 3 Snapcaster Mage. I feel like these are the cards we want to be our top end and not Expansion Explosion, Sphinx's Rev, Sublime Epiphany. As cool as these cards are, as much as I like these cards, they're really neat. You just gotta, like, I don't think that they're correct to play. Expansion Explosion is castable for 2, but yeah, but like, it's not a very good effect for 2 mana. Love to deck any budget options for the 2 forces. Yeah, I actually think it's maybe just not unreasonable to cut them. You can play like the 4th Visions in this 75 and like the 4th Tails in the main. Play Remand maybe. You can play more removal spells. You know, one thing is like Tails counters a lot of the things that you're trying to force. So I do feel like in some ways, bummer. Well, I'm not gonna force this. You know, in a lot of ways, it feels like this is like the worst Force of Negation deck I've ever made, or I should probably say, Force of Negation is worse in this deck than other ones I've played. Yeah, when you have cards like Lotus Field and Blood Sun that can be slow, that can be clunky, adding more clunky cards to your deck has, I think, too high a cost. I mean, yeah, Thassa's Intervention is also not, it's just not a playable modern card, you know? And like, also, you know, people suggest adding these big mana cards. I'd really like to hear, like, what they think should be cut in favor of them. Because, like, if you look at our deck, we have Mana Sinks, we have Shark Typhoon, Nexus of Fate, Snapcaster, Valakut's Awakening, Shadow Skull Smashing. But, like, I guess you're cutting Serum Visions for Sphinx's Rev or something like that. But I really have found the Visions to be important. No, and fix it to January 7th. Yes. Oh, make a sticky note. Drifts, my Narset. I'm gonna mill. Oh, Set Adrift is kind of sick in mill because you just mill it over. Settle the Wreckage is probably the card you cut most of the time. Yeah, maybe. Have I considered playing a 62 card deck with Sphinx's Rev? Genius. Alright, good play, opponent. Tight play. If they need to really mill us out like this turn. Okay, so I am going to hold up Tails End here, but it does come at the cost of milling too. Although I guess like if we just it's good to untap because we don't have to cast this Tails End, and these 2 lands are going to mill us too either way, whether or not we untap them now or untap them in our upkeep. But just finding one more land means we can take infinite turns with Nexus and attack infinite times with Shark. Oh yeah, exactly. They've been milling over a lot of lands here, too. 22 cards in our library. I will Tails End Delta if they fetch, but they know about the Tails End. Wonder why you would play the red mythic land over the blue. I kind of have been feeling like we need a bit more removal is, you know, the big part of it. And, you know, maybe this is a bit too obvious or whatever, but you can cast Smashing for less than 7 mana, so it's way more flexible than the 7 mana sorcery. And in some ways, red early is better because of Wildfire, anyways. But like Seagate Restoration is definitely like something to consider. I've tried discontinuity in my historic PT list that I was putting together, and I didn't like it very much, but it's certainly worth considering. So we just need to find a land. We have 10 cards left in our library. That is not a land. Oh, although Teferi does let us cast Nexus, I suppose. Snap, flashback, Shadow Skull just to put it into play. I'm going to cast Blood Sun. And hopefully we can maybe like counter something with Cryptic and bounce the Mesmeric Orb, I suppose. Yeah, just didn't find the land. Or the Nexus. The Nexus would have been castable. Although I guess need to find the land, sorry, yeah. They have 3 cards. I don't know how many lands we have left in our deck. It's maybe just more exciting to find out naturally. Although we've now been decked. Supposed to bounce Mesmeric Orb and draw. No. Let's actually. We can't Snapcaster because of Soul Guide Lantern. Let's just try to draw a land right now. I think that's the play. Should try to count, but I think I'm not going to. If you float all your mana, you can shuffle Nexus back in. The problem is, like, when we plus Teferi to get the extra mana, we lose the game. You can't snap Awakening to find a land because they just have Soul Guide Lantern. So, okay, I will, Mr. Fister. I guess we just lose. No, we hit perfectly. We hit perfectly. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. We hit perfectly, and we milled the Nexus exactly 3 times, so we actually get to plus here. Sack crap, and we lose. We'll see if they see the line. They don't see it! They don't see the line! Oh, we have Blood Sun in play. What am I talking about? Never mind. We have Blood Sun in play. Play around Spell Pierce. Yeah, they just had Blood Sun in play. Or we did. We win. Card was a land. I can't. It's incredible. What a game. Super exciting. Yeah, I was like, they don't see it. Obviously, they see it. Just can't. Pausing, thinking if they have a way out of this, I guess. It's like mill Nexus, mill Nexus, mill Nexus. Crazy. Can't believe it. We had to mill the Nexus every time. It's like the Patrick Chapin Dragon Storm, or no, sorry, not Dragon Storm. The other Storm card, the one that Caleb likes. Yeah, we did.